Mr. Ernest. This is the author of the book that brought us here. Sir, what a moment.
It is. Thank you so much. It's a day of mixed emotions. On one side, emotions of pain, bearing in mind the kind of pain that we went through as students here. With a recollection that as SRC president, I used to sleep in 7 different rooms per week because we were scared of the troops. But on the other side, it's emotions of jubilance. Because at the end of the day, we're able to remove soldiers out of this campus, and we're able to restore the principle of academic freedom. So mixed emotions indeed. I'm so pleased to see that in our midst, we have got various presidents of the SRC. We're with the VC himself, the most powerful VC in the country. If you look at the position of Turfloop in the country, we're with the chair of council. So it's a very good and very fulfilling day indeed.
Thank you very much. I just want to find out from you, from what you put down on paper and what you expect to see today, obviously a different time when you put it down, a different time when it happened. What expectations?
Got trained here and are now anchoring our publications. So it's always a very proud moment when we watch them carry the story of the university. Before we go too far, let us please rise and honor South Africa. And I know that it's fashionable of late to applaud the national anthem. I do not know where that comes from, but with respect, may we not applaud the national anthem when it ends. It's a prayer. And gentlemen, if you're wearing hats, I know it might be stylish. Please take them off. Let's all rise and honor South Africa. Even as I say, it's the best of times and the worst of times. Vice Chancellor of the University of Limpopo, Dr. Jeffrey Mabelebele. I'll just say members of your executive management, Deputy Vice Chancellors. Must also acknowledge the Chairman of Council, Mr. Pandelani Neforobodwe, Deputy Chairperson of Council, President of the UL Alumni and Convocation Association, Mr. Donald Slamulela. We are expecting to be joined by former Vice Chancellor and Principal, Professor Mahlo Mokhalong, and Premier of Limpopo, Dr. Popi Ramatuba, represented here by Honorable Jerry Maseko, who's MEC for the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture. We welcome one of our most illustrious alumni, Honorable Tembis Melani, Minister of Human Settlements in the Republic of South Africa, and her team from the department. We also welcome Chairperson of the Airports Company of South Africa Board, Mr. Evan Penyani. He goes by another name today. We welcome former Premier of Gauteng, but today Chairperson of our Development Bank of Southern Africa Board, Mr. David Makura. Professor Silo Sitole, Director of the School of Social Sciences, here on behalf of the Executive Dean of the Faculty of Humanities. I had to slow down there. And we have the Sachi Chair holder on Liberation, Heritage and Politics, Professor Khotatso Shai. We have Councillor John Mpe, Executive Mayor of Polokwane Municipality, represented by Member of Mayoral Committee of Polokwane Municipality, represented by Member of Mayoral Committee for Sport, Arts and Culture, Mr. Jerry Tebele Mamabulo. We welcome the author of the book that brought us all here today, Studying Under the Barrel of a Gun, former president of the SRC at the University of Limpopo, 1988-89 and 1989-90, Mr. Ernest Khosa. We have lecturers here. I'm not going to be able to mention all by name. We have Dr. Chris Akinola, Senior Lecturer in Performing Arts. I'm mentioning him because many of his students appeared in this movie as extras. Dr. Dolly Dlavani, an alumna of the University of Limpopo, but Senior Lecturer at the Northwest University and a board member of Pensalp. Mr. Isaac Mashila, another one of our alumni, SABC, Tobela FM Senior Producer Mandate. We also have Professor Bopape. Okay, students, you have to give this one a round of applause, and I'll tell you why. I don't know what your student number is, but this man's student number is 19. Aha. There you go. Now you applaud. And I'm not exaggerating. He's still running a business today. He wakes up every day, and I check his status on WhatsApp. He's up by 5. He's already at the business here in Mankweng. His name is Professor Moses Bopape. Okay, I'm going to ask you to allow me to acknowledge all SRC members that are here, President, Deputy President, Secretary General, and your members of your top brass. Let me acknowledge Mr. George Mashamba. We called him Bra George. He took all of us in when apartheid was really biting. And I mean biting. He's seated right there next to Mr. David Makura. We have to welcome Advocate Richard Moloko. Rich Moloko, we will tell you his story. He's one on the panel, so we appreciate him. Mr. Anderson Magwira, he was our treasurer when we were here, when theology used to be a faculty. And we also have other presidents, including the one who was president when I got here in 1985, Mr. Joe Mokhosi. And I can mention everybody and go on and on and on. I'm going to just ask you, apart from Dr. P.M. Khadla, representing ZCC St. Engenas and his party, and of course the professors from our university, ladies and gentlemen, students, guests, welcome to this premiere, film premiere of the movie based on a book by Ernest Khosa, Studying Under the Barrel of a Gun. A round of applause for Ernest. And a round of applause for Tebogo Malope, Cornet Mamabolo, and I even might add the man called Lily Mahlangu. That is the team, producer, executive producer, co-producer, and director of the movie, who made sure that today we are here together to mark the premiere of this film, which, by the way, you'll be able to see at Ster-Kinekor Mall of the North at 7:30 tonight and the rest of this week and next week. You can see it if you're in Gauteng at the East Gate Ster-Kinekor, at South Gate Ster-Kinekor, at the Ster-Kinekor at the Zone in the in Rosebank, and also the Ster-Kinekor at Mall of Africa in Midrand. So if you miss it today, and I'm talking specifically to those joining us online, you may be able to see that movie there. Please go ahead and support it. We are really proud of it. Before I say much more, because we are chasing time, I'm going to ask Professor Sello Sithole, who is Director of the School of Social Sciences at the University of Limpopo, to come and please give his message of support and welcome. A round of applause for Prof. Sithole.
Cause you've been so sweet. Yes. Absheni. Dumelang. Sanbonani. I greet you all in the name of the Faculty of Humanities standing here on behalf of our Executive Dean, Professor R.S. Mautu, who could not be with us this afternoon because of similar engagements elsewhere. And I would like to take this opportunity to welcome the academic staff of the university in the form of research professors, research chairs, directors of school, heads of department, professors, associate professors, senior lecturers, admin and support staff. I also stand here to recognize and acknowledge the support from our sponsors and our well-wishers. Students, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. But you would note that we gathered here today to celebrate the resilience and tenacity of the human spirit. We are here to look back and reflect on past events on this campus that shape the fabric of the South African society. This, as we celebrate the fact that indeed our memories are immortal, just like matter, our memories cannot be destroyed, save to transform them and shape them through literature, music, film, etc. Our theme, and of course our rallying point, is studying under the barrel of a gun. This evokes the idea of trying to learn in an environment of fear, of coercion, and violence. In a literal sense, it's nearly impossible because concentration, memory, and creativity almost collapse sometimes when survival instincts are triggered. The human brain prioritizes flight or fight responses over higher order thinking. So, genuine learning cannot thrive in such conditions. Historically, though, people have attempted to study in war zones, prisons, or under authoritarian regimes. For example, students in conflict regions often continue their education despite bombings or armed patrols, and political prisoners have smuggled books or taught each other secretly. And for all that, you can visit Long Walk to Freedom and all the other pieces of literature that was churned on Robben Island. These acts of learning becomes forms of resistance. Education as defiance against oppression. So while it's technically possible to study under the barrel of a gun, the quality of that study is compromised. It becomes less about academic mastery and more about survival, resilience, and symbolic resistance. In that sense, the act of studying itself becomes political, a refusal to be subjugated and dehumanized. In that sense, may I therefore invite you all to watch the trail of the movie, to resolve this poignant paradox, a contradiction in terms, an impossible feat of studying under the barrel of a gun. You are indeed all welcome. Sit down, relax, meditate, cogitate, engage as we cobble the pernicious challenges that continue to plague our motherland. I thank you. Amanda! Amanda! Viva University of Limpopo! Viva! Cheer up. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Now, Professor Tole just used 4 words in less than 5 minutes. Poignant, pernicious, cogent, cogitate. And I was looking at it and said, Google it, Google it, Google it. Now you're Googling pernicious and you run into cogitate. And the funny thing, Comrade President Joe Mokhosi, is that these words were very standard in 1985 when you were president. And I'm sure that then Apollo Woto would have dealt with even bigger words in his days in the 70s. But thank you, Professor Tole. You did well. You gave me a huge discount on the time because I'm going to need a discount from the speakers. So thank you very much. You represented the faculty very well. Let's move on. After all, this event is about alumni of the university, people who studied at this university and moved on to achieve great things. Now we have among us here, people who go by honorable when they work every day. Every day, just showing up to work is honorable. He's chairman of a portfolio committee, I think, on transport, among other things. But to us, he's president of the UL Alumni and Convocation Association. Please welcome Mr. Donald Salamulel.
Program Director, allow me to, as much as I would stand on the protocol that you have already observed, but to sincerely pass greetings to the Chairperson of the Council of the University of Limpopo, who is accompanied here today by his Deputy Chairperson of the Council, To also salute the Vice Chancellor and to salute the representative of the Dean of the Faculty of Humanities who was here. To salute the Student Representative Council President and the entire collective present. To salute the Minister of Human Settlement, Honorable Smelani. To also salute the reps of the Premier MEC Maseko, the rep of the mayor, the executive mayor of Polokwane, represented here by MMC Mamabulo. Salute the veteran of our struggle for liberation, George. And salute the former presidents of the SRC that I've seen here. I may not seen of others, but I've seen President Makura, President Khosa himself, and President Chom Khotsi, chairperson of the Airport Companies of South Africa, Tate Penyani, student number 19 of the University of Limpopo, colleagues, friends, and compatriots. Once again, Program Director, today we gather and meet in the foot of the Sovenga Hills. We gather today in the forests of Tabahuiti and in what has since become those who departed, those who committed to the cause of the people and never lived to see the 1994 moment as the nation they secure.
You know, we want to lay the foundation, give the preamble, and then give you an illustration, and then paint a metaphor, an image, then set the scene. They just get to the point. Thank you very much, President. I'm sure you will know that we are trying to get every one of our alumni to get on board and play their part. Ladies and gentlemen, we are an academic institution, which means everything we do has to find relevance and expression in the academic project, teaching and learning, research, and community engagement. Therefore, the movie, yes, is a picture, is a work of creative arts. At the same time, we do teach media here, we do teach filmmaking, we do teach acting, we teach a lot of arts, of the creative arts. And it is only important that, it only is fitting that we bring in the chairholder on liberation, heritage, and politics to try and just give us a hint of the pivotal role of Turfloop, the University of Limpopo, or to those who came earlier, the University of the North, in the struggle for liberation. Give me a very fitting, rousing welcome to appreciate Professor Khosa Shai. I had said rousing, that's not rousing.
Program Director, thank you so much for the opportunity to say a few remarks. Let me begin by acknowledging the presence of the current and former leaders of the University of Limpopo, formerly University of the North. I also wish to convey my warmest greetings to the leadership of government, then other important stakeholders represented here, particularly our students. Colleagues, I want to preface my remarks by giving a disclaimer. The disclaimer that I want to give is that I was born in 1985. I was born in 1985. This therefore means that I was born just a year before the state of emergency in 1986. When people ask me, so you want to tell us about exile life, liberation struggle, and what have you, where were you? I often tell them that in 1985, at the heat of the struggle here in South Africa, my mother was pregnant with a future lecturer and a teacher who is standing here. I think that is on a lighter note. But I wish to say, I work at this beautiful university as a lecturer and also as a teacher, if you like, a researcher. And I feel very much honored, VC, to be part of this important gathering today, because the theme of this movie and the entire conversation that we are going to be having today speaks to the heart of the work that we are doing as the Sachi Chair on Liberation, Heritage, and Politics. Through the Sachi Chair, what the University of Limpopo does, through the support of the Department of Science, Technology, and Innovation and the National Research Foundation, is to really try and recenter Limpopo, which include Turfloop, in the mainstream discourses about liberation, heritage, and politics here in South Africa. I must hasten to point out that the subject of the role of Turfloop in liberation is very, very much complex. It is complex because it is often characterized by ideological contestations. It is also characterized by the struggle between the past and the desire to remain relevant in contemporary politics. So it is important for us to converge here to reflect on the story, the role of Turfloop in the liberation of South Africa. Because indeed, colleagues, as you will be aware, and as we shall learn in the next coming few hours, the University of the North, like other historically black universities, when they were established to become extensions of imperialism and apartheid. They were never meant to engage on a serious exercise of academic excellence. They were never meant to become centers of excellence insofar as teaching, research, and community engagement is concerned. And in response to the misfortunes of the time, the University of the North students and some lecturers defied the agenda of the architects of apartheid and those who sought to use the University of the North as an extension of imperialism and apartheid. So, in short, what we are saying is that the story of liberation in South Africa remains incomplete until such time that the story about the contribution of the University of the North is sufficiently accounted for. Some of our students at master's and PhD level have been doing work on this, and through an engagement with their work, and as I look around here, I can see some of the participants whom our students have interviewed, including the chair of the council and other people present here. What emerges quick during apartheid when you were here, because the church was viewed to be, peaceful. So if you belong to the church, you are relatively safe and all that. But so this is really, in a nutshell, about the contribution of Turfloop, but Turfloop has indeed played a very important role in the struggle against apartheid. There is so much that needs to be done to document, to record this story about Turfloop, because the kind of knowledge that we have, it's incomplete. And Mr. Khosa, I'm very much happy that you have invited all these veterans here, and I know they are going to avail themselves to share their stories, their experiences about their time at Turfloop. You are all invited to really join us in the chair to share your story, to share your experiences. We will be happy to help you. All that you need to do is just to invite me and my team, sit with you, share your stories with us. We document them for the sake of the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Prof. Shai, for that invitation. That's a very good note to close, inviting everybody with a story to share, because you know the consequence of not telling your own story is that others will tell it for you. And I remember, Dade Mokura, I remember you talking about how the best account of the struggle is still in the files of the security branch and the South African Defense Force, because they kept their records, even of the atrocities they committed. It's very interesting. They didn't want to just do things. They wanted to record what they did. And yet we were the ones fighting and we did not record much. That's criminal, to say the least. Dr. Jeffrey Mabelebele, we are in your house. Please come and offer your words of encouragement and congratulations as Vice Chancellor and Principal. I like the song they are sharing.
Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much, Mr. Khosa. Let me also stand on the already established protocol, if you allow me. But I think it will be remiss of me not to acknowledge the presence of Mr. Mashamba there. Mr. Mashamba taught me Marxist theory. So it will be remiss of me not to acknowledge his presence here. Same applies to Mr. Khosa, the person who has brought us all together today. And Minister Simelane, in case you had forgotten, she was my classmate. She was my classmate, so it's important to acknowledge her as well. And Mr. Makura was the president of the SRC when I arrived here. So, but also we also share a geographic affinity in the sense that we all come from the same place of Sinobarwana. And the same applies to Mr. Slamlela, who is the president of Convocation, who comes from the same area as well. And lastly, the chairperson of council and the deputy chair of council, I hereby acknowledge your presence here. Standing here today, ladies and gentlemen, takes me back to my own arrival on this campus as a young student from Sinobarwana, a place called Bochum, then in 1992. At the time, I was 18 years old. And as you can imagine, I arrived 2 years after the South African Defense Force had vacated our campus. And the ANC and liberation movements were unbanned. And Nelson Mandela was then released from prison in 1990. At the time of my arrival on campus, the old apartheid architecture in South Africa was refusing to die. And the new democratic dispensation was struggling to be born. In June 1992, as most of you will remember, South Africa witnessed the bloodiest and brutal massacres in the townships, including Wipatong and other places. And it was at this university where a lot of my intellectually shaping experiences took place. As I indicated, my first real introduction to Marxist theory took place here under the tutelage of Mr. Mashamba there. The moral of the story is that we must never forget the turbulent struggles of the 1980s, because it's exactly 40 years ago today, on 12 June 1986, that South African Defence Force, South African Police, and Leboa Police occupied this campus of the then University of the North. This brutal occupation was unique in its duration and intensity, lasting for 3 agonizing years and condemning our students, our academics, our support and administrative staff to learn, live and work under state-sanctioned terror and military occupation. We bow our heads as a university to our fallen martyrs who paid the ultimate price, including the legendary Josephine Moshobani, who was taken from the university community in April 1986. We celebrate the giants who navigated this university through stormy waters. Our former leaders and trailblazers like Professor Mangani, Mr. Malachi, John Malachi, Professor Nkondo, and others. And we cannot forget the contribution that our former Vice Chancellor, Professor Makhalong, made to this university post-2000, because he has contributed immensely to the foundation that you see today here. Since its founding in 1959, the university has been the cradle of leadership, cradle of resistance and academic freedom. And our unique role in the anti-apartheid struggle was permanently sealed. David Makura will remember this, when former President Mandela served as our first chancellor in 1992 and 1999, or between 1992 and 1999. Out of all the universities at the time, he chose to come to this university, a testament of our historic mission as a cradle of liberation struggle in our country. Because of this rich history, the university has been officially identified as one of the only 3 sites to be preserved under the Resistance and Liberation Heritage Route. This is a major national memory project aimed at commemorating, preserving, educating the public about South Africa's road to independence. And as a university, we are very proud to be part of this important initiative. Tonight, that story comes to life. It has been adapted into a major cinematic masterpiece, shot right here on campus. As we watch it premiering in this hall tonight, it is also debuting across the 5 premier Ster-Kennecker sites, as indicated by the program director earlier. On behalf of the university, I applaud the visionary young producers, Tebo Malope and Cornet Mamabolo, for taking a keen interest in the history of this great university and bringing this crucial narrative to the silver screen. It is important to note that the film represents our vision of weaving institutional history organically into teaching and learning experience, as Professor Shai has indicated. Under the expert leadership of Dr. Akinola, our performing arts students feature directly in this mainstream movie while still completing their studies. We must use the inspiration of this movie to pursue deeper research into our past, particularly through Professor Shai's chair in Liberation, Heritage and Politics. And to ensure that our stories never left to chance, I'm proud to announce that the university is sponsoring the writing of an official UL history book. We are partnering with experienced historians across the country and most eminent historians to document the history of this university with a view to launching this book in 2029 when the university celebrates its 70th anniversary. By the time this great institution turns 70 in 2029, we'll launch another high-quality documentary and an academically sound, peer-reviewed history book with a view to preserving our legacy, the legacy of this university. For us, the film as a university exemplifies the power of meaningful alumni engagement. It is a partnership grounded in collaboration with former SRC leaders like Ernest Khosa, Mr. Penyane and others. And by allowing the university to be profiled in this prestigious film, our alumni have plowed back into the institution, ensuring our historical sacrifices are never forgotten or erased from the face of the earth. To the current student leadership and the entire student body, I urge you to look at this partnership as an inspiration and a stark reminder that freedom, facilities, and relative peace that you currently enjoy were brought with blood and sweat and tears of those who came before you. Neither staff nor students should ever take this legacy for granted, nor should we ever dishonor it. Preserving this history requires a united front, and we must strengthen our active collaboration with government, with the municipalities, the national government, and agencies dedicated to the preservation of history and heritage in our country. Let us live here tonight recommitted to owning our narrative. I close with the timeless words of the great revolutionary philosopher, Frantz Fanon, who reminded us of the absolute necessity of taking charge of our own history. And I quote, "Each generation must, out of relative obscurity, discover its mission, fulfill it, or betray it. Let us write, let us film, let us teach, let us research, let us preserve and promote our history so that no outside force can ever diminish the greatness of the University of Limpopo." Thank you and enjoy the premiere.
Thank you, VC. You asked me why I said I like Burnout, the song that was played when Professor Shai was getting off the stage here. I'll tell you in an anecdotal way. One of the few times, very few times that I went to prison, I met on one occasion. It was when we were real perpetrators of public violence. I mean, real perpetrators of public violence. We specialized in it in the 80s, mid-80s. We were fast. We were angry. And we were very impressionable. We were looking for action. We were looking for anybody who didn't observe the consumer boycott, who didn't understand that Stay Soft can be a very nice drink to have if you buy it from the wrong place. We love to prove our physical strength against steel gates. We like to break them with our own hands. We tried to burn Mr. Magolani's. George Magolani was a reporter at SABC, and we didn't quite like him because of the way he spoke about us. Dingangele, University of Limpopo. Dingalile dithuto gape. No, this man is Dingangele, we. No. So we tried to burn his car one day here. Didn't go very well. But just about the story about prison. So we meet this guy and we are talking about Weekend Special. It's 1986, and this guy says, "What is Weekend Special?" We say Weekend Special is a song by Brenda Fassie. He didn't know it. So we say, "Munna, before Weekend Special age." Which means this man had been in prison before 1983. And he didn't know the song. So when Prof. Shai said he was born in 85, I thought, oh, he was born after Burnout was a hit. That's very, very, very cute. Mwatu, that this Robi Maja is here. He's one of those alumni of ours that I can't not acknowledge. I hadn't noticed you, sir. Welcome. All right. We are going to have the final address before we get the panel discussions. I've swapped the program around, but I consulted. I wasn't a dictator this time around. We are going to have one of our alumni, one of our most successful, most illustrious, most prominent, alumni, former Premier of Gauteng. As I said, he came here in 1989, and when the Vice Chancellor came here as a first-year student, he was president of the SRC. We've come a long way. So let's give a round of applause fitting to the man that's gonna speak, Mr. David Makura.
Thank you very much, Mr. Victor Homeswan. Victor was my laboratory assistant when I arrived here at Turfloop in 1989. He was my laboratory assistant. We used to wear white lab coats. From time to time, he will see me like Jesus, and from time to time, he will not see me, but he knew where I was. I would have loved to say I stand on the protocol observed, but at the risk of not acknowledging those who, I just need to acknowledge first the Vice Chancellor and the leadership of the university, Professor Mabilibili. I would like to acknowledge the Chair and the Deputy Chair of Council, the President of the SRC and his leadership. I would like to acknowledge all the former presidents of the SRC who have been acknowledged. I also want to acknowledge the president of the alumni. I want to acknowledge the minister, Thembi Simelane, and the MEC, Jerry Maseko. Acknowledge the veterans of this university and the liberation struggle, the veteran of this university, Professor Bupape, and the veteran, Comrade George Mashamba. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the academic community, students and former students of this university. We gather today in response to what seems to be a contradiction, and exactly three contradictions that are mutually reinforcing impulses in human history. That is the past, the present, and the future. It is often said that the actions and omissions, as well as the heroism and mistakes of past generations, weigh heavily on the present and future generations. In his poem titled Past, Present, Future is Now, our country's national poet laureate, Professor Ernest Khosa, argues that the past, the present, and the future are in permanent negotiation. Professor Khosa repudiated the idea that for us to move forward, we must forget about the past, something that those who are ashamed of the past preach quite a lot to us today. To forget about the past is to behave like a traveler who moves in unknown territory without a GPS or without a compass. So we must honor history and memory if we are to move to the future with clarity and confidence. 40 years ago, on the night of the 12th of June, 1986, this campus experienced one of the most defining moments in its history. That is a full-scale occupation by the apartheid army. So we gather here today not merely to commemorate that event. We also gather to reflect on what the events of that fateful day mean to our past, to our present, and to the future of both our university and our country. This occasion is made even more significant by the fact that we will have a premiere of Studying Under the Barrel of a Gun a movie adapted from a seminal book written by President Ernest Khosa. The book and the film remind us that history is not just a collection of dates and events. History is a living conversation and a dynamic dialogue between different generations. History is about giving and interpreting meaning, and there is always contest about the same event. So history is highly contested. An account of events always also highly contested. History is not about remembering specific dates or specific events, but it's about discerning a trend and being able to explain that trend, both the players in that trend and the implications of that for the present and the future. So today we honor a generation that studied, organized, debated in this hall, and resisted under extraordinary conditions. Their struggle was not simply a struggle against a system of apartheid or a struggle against the university. It was a struggle for human dignity, intellectual advancement and freedom, and true and full democratic citizenship. Standing in this great hall, Nkgopotse Tiro Hall, stripped of the sentimentalism and passions that often filled this space, the passions of our youth, in which we held many meetings to debate and resolve in this hall. One cannot escape the weight and burden of history that weighs heavily on our shoulders. This hall bears the name of one of the greatest products of our university. Tiro understood that education without freedom is incomplete, and that knowledge without courage is powerless. Frantz Fanon has already been well quoted by our Vice Chancellor. It is extremely important to understand that few universities in our country have embodied the challenges and the traditions that Turfloop represent. The history of this university is completely inseparable from the history of the struggle for liberation in our country. While other institutions produced graduates and continue to do so, Turfloop produced finished products who were leaders. While other institutions transmitted knowledge, Turfloop generated ideas that challenged injustice and inspired the struggle for transformation of our country. There were always different generations, and even today there are different generations that led this university, particularly from the student body as well as the academia. Professor Mushem Kondo and his generation in the 1960s and the veterans I acknowledged earlier on are part of that generation of the 1960s, played a very distinct role at the establishment of our university. Nkgopotse Tiro and his generation, Nkgopotse Tiro and the generation of Pandelani Neforobodwe also played a very distinct role in shaping what Turfloop became in the 1970s. Ernest Khosa represents a generation of the young lions of the 1980s, and many of them are here today. And that is the generation that never gave up the struggle and that continued to invest all their energies in the struggle for the transformation of this university, not only into a center of quality learning, but into a hub for the liberation struggle in the northern areas of our country. The significance of Turfloop extends beyond South Africa. It belongs within the wider context of Africa's intellectual reawakening and renewal. Throughout the continent, universities serve as incubators for the liberation movements, nation building, and development ideas. Turfloop occupies that special and honored place in that tradition. Fort Hare University helped to shape a generation of African nationalist and independent leaders in the 1930s right up to the 1960s. Turfloop emerged in the 1960s and shifted the center from the south and eastern part of our country to the north. The center of gravity shifted from there onward. Here we see the making of future leaders and the making of leaders of various organizations in the liberation struggle. It took place right here on our campus. Turfloop was always the center of ideological ferment, ideological debate between the different organizations of the liberation movement. And Turfloop was always the center of the revival of the struggle. From the 60s, when the liberation movements were banned, to the 1970s, when the Black consciousness movement emerged, and to the 1980s, with the resurgence of the Congress movement here at Turfloop. The occupation of this university is a symbol of oppression, but it was met with resistance. It exposed moral bankruptcy of apartheid, whilst on the other hand, strengthening the resolve of both students and academics to resist and fight for this institution to be a center of excellence for the struggle for freedom in our country. The remarkable achievement of the generation of Ernest Khosa was not simply resistance. It was also intellectual combat. They understood that the struggle for liberation required more than protest. They understood that that struggle required ideas. It required organization. It required strategy. It required vision. And it required commitment. Professor Mushenkondo reminds us that transformative scholarship and activism that took place in this university in its entire existence is always about finding expression of the lived experiences and developmental aspirations of the communities around which this university is established. These insights remain relevant today as ever. Today, of course, this new generation of university leaders, academics, and students face different challenges. We live in a democratic South Africa, and yet democracy alone does not solve all problems. Democracy is just the beginning and not the end. Inequality along racial and gender lines remain high. Poverty continues to undermine human development. Unemployment is plaguing young people, including those who are studying here. Technological change is also ushering in inequalities. I would like to leave you with 6 lessons we draw from the history of this university. Those 6 lessons are as follows. The first one is that memory is both a path and a pedagogy to the future. We can't simply just move into the future. We need to be anchored in an understanding of our past. Victor knows I like quoting Milan Kundera, who described the struggle that we face as the struggle of memory against forgetting. Nations that forget their history can hardly become great nations. They live in a distorted sense of who they are. They get easily manipulated, and they often decline like civilizations and empires that declined over a long period of time, because it's that absence of being anchored in the understanding of your own history. History teaches us gratitude, to thank those who came before, some of whom sacrificed their lives, those who built this university into what it is today. You as students must be grateful to the generations that suffered and sacrificed so that you can be in a better university. History also teaches us resilience, for we learn in history how others survived difficult conditions and survived difficult struggles. History also teaches us responsibility. The second lesson we learn is about the fact that education can never be neutral. The architects of apartheid built this university not in order to empower, but to disempower the black people in our country, to use this university as an instrument of oppression and domination. Yet progressive students and academics transformed the University of Limpopo into an instrument of liberation, into a weapon of struggle, education that expands the frontiers of human fulfillment. And there is no neutral education system. The third lesson we draw from the history of this university is that young people are not merely the leaders of tomorrow. They are the makers of history today. Young people cannot wait until they are installed as leaders. They have to take charge. And that's what we learn from previous generations. We learned this from the generation of the 1940s, of Nelson Mandela and his generation. We learned this from the generation of the 1976. And we learned this from the young lions of the 1980s. But we also learned this from a generation of the 1990s and 2000. We also draw this lesson from the current generation. As we celebrate 50 years of June 16 uprising, we must make a call to all the youth in our country to assume center stage in seeking solutions to the current challenges facing our young democratic nation. Young people must become leaders today. They must take responsibility. This is your moment, we say to our youth. The youth are catalysts and agents of every radical change that has taken place everywhere else across the world. The fourth lesson we want to share today is that democracy is just the beginning. It's not an end. The most dangerous idea we face in our society today is the idea that the struggle ended in 1994 when we achieved democracy. We must resist this idea that the struggle has ended and continue to be involved in the struggle to fundamentally transform our country. And we say, aluta continua. Democracy only creates some leveling field. The task, though, is to develop our country, to transform our country, to achieve full freedom. Democracy only has enduring value if it improves the material conditions of our people. The crisis of democracy across the world is that it has just become meaningless because it leaves millions of people out, whilst political and economic elites are sitting in offices, in parliaments, and in corporate boardrooms and making the development of society just about themselves. The fifth lesson, the last but one, is that knowledge production and the battle of ideas are key sides of struggle. So one of the challenges of our democratic era is the weakening of connections between universities, government, business, and society. Nations that have succeeded in the 21st century are those that have invested in knowledge, that they've invested in technology, and that they've invested in human development. Research, innovation, and scholarship are not just a luxury. We need to put huge resources, especially in the historically black universities. One of the mistakes we made, ladies and gentlemen, our generation, is that when 1994 came, we all headed either for government or for business, abandoning universities and leaving these universities to really fend for themselves. Everybody was thinking of going into government. Victor, I'm very happy that you returned to Turfloop. The weakness of this abandonment of universities is that we have weakened the dynamic cross-fertilization between what those in government do, those in business do, and what the business of our universities are. In that way, we need to learn from the Americans. I know there's lots of chaos happening in America, but one thing the Americans teach us today is that you can go into government for a while and return to the university. We learn from the Republicans and the Democrats that there are successive governments there. Academics go into a democratic government. When that government's term comes to an end, they return to the university. Politicians also go back to universities to write and research and refine their own experiences. And I would like to see a lot more of you returning here to Turfloop to come and write, but also to come and teach, especially those of you who have been in government. Our students will benefit a great deal from that. Lastly, the sixth lesson is that leadership matters. Leadership is everything. Without leadership, there can really be no progress for an organization, for a community, for a society. And leadership requires moral courage. It requires sacrifice. Even today, if you're not willing to sacrifice, we will not be able to achieve many of what we want to achieve. Leadership also requires high ethical standards and requisite determination to perform at the right level. The erosion of ethical leadership in public life today is a great undermining of the liberation ideals for which many have died. This university must continue the business of producing leaders, but leaders now with the requisite technical capabilities, leaders who have the right ethical orientation, and leaders who have the right consciousness to understand that it is always about the masses out there and it's not about us and it's not about them. I believe this university has got the capacity to remake itself. One of the important things is Professor Marwala says about leadership for the future is that he says we need new leaders. And if you do not read and you do not learn, you must not lead. That is what Professor Marwala says. I think this is very difficult. If you do not read and you do not learn, you should not lead. This also applies to many set of circumstances. I would like to thank the contribution that Ernest Khosa has made on behalf of his generation. Ernest, you have done a great job for our generation. I arrived here at the end of the 1980s, only had a taste of the army just before they left, yes? I found the army here. Just before they left, I arrived here. We used to go to class and see them in the sciences, in those laboratories, and we will see them in the copy there. But we did not go through what the rest of the generation of the 1980s did. Our generation's preoccupation was about the transformation of universities, was about the institutionalization of radical ideas and radical scholarship as the core business of this university. This is what studying under the barrel of a gun is about, both the memoir and the movie. And this is what the struggle for the future is about in our country. The struggle has not ended. The struggle is not over. Yes, we are here today to premiere this movie, but this is also an occasion to re-inspire ourselves to continue the struggle until our country has achieved full and meaningful freedom. And we say to the university, please continue in this illuminating spirit and tradition of Turfloop. Oh, Turfloop, my Turfloop, may your proud tradition endure for generations to come. Please endure the premiere. I thank you.
That's the kind of passion we want from our alumni. And by the way, when you said Ernest is a young lion, no, he was a young lion. No. This "you're as young as you feel" thing is not going to work. According to the laws of the country, Ernest is a retiree. So, no. We actually have 4 categories of alumni. People like Bramos here, And that the Maja, whose student numbers, Dr. Maja, by the way, I must tell you, he's one of the few people on whom we conferred, to whom we awarded an honorary doctorate. Their student number is older than 50 years. Yeah, you're going to be 50 one day. Wait, it's coming. Sooner than you think. So if your student number is older than 50, which means you came here before 1976, you are a grandmaster. And if you came here after 76, but before 1996, you are a veteran. And if you came here after 1996, but before 2011, you are a young lion. And if you came here after 2011, you are a cadet. Okay, remember those categories, please, and classify yourself accordingly so that you don't get in our way and we don't get in your way. This whole VC, if it could tell a story or stories, would tell you that Ernest and I didn't campaign here to be SRC the first time. We campaigned in Cinema Hall, New Cinema Hall, and we came here to hold our meetings. And we found out, where's Mr. Magwira? Anderson Magwira, who was the faculty rep for theology. He comes to me one day, we are on stage, he says, soldiers in, and I say, Magwira, I'm not taking on soldiers. Because it was a normal, common thing. But even more touching than that was, when they came on 12 June 1986, we returned a few weeks later and they said, you must go to attend your classes, your lessons. And we would say, but we don't have lessons now, we have a free period. They would say, go and attend the free period. Now we give up on these guys. But they made us gather here and wait for our free periods here. So you would come to class, either go to the library or to class or sit in here. And you can imagine if you take teenagers and young adults and put them in a room like this for the whole day, they get annoyed. They would be watching us and we would just start going like, what can we do to really irritate these people? And you would hear people go, and they said, don't try us. Don't try us. Then now we got your attention. So we're going to move on to a panel. Can you smell the popcorn? Yes. Have patience though. Let's do this panel discussion and then we are going to get to the movie. I promise you, it won't be a minute later than it's supposed to start. If you are too tired and too lazy to study, get a life. And I'll tell you this, I mean it. I mean it. Every time you enjoy the fruit of someone's labor or sacrifice, the Chinese say, when you drink water, remember the source. When you drink water, remember the source. And every time you enjoy the rewards of the work you did not do. Okay, while they ascend, former president of SRC, Ernest Khosa, please come on stage. Mr. Tebogo Malope, film producer. Dr. Chris Akinola, come on to stage. Honorable Tembisi Melani, Minister, come on stage, please. And last but not least, he is known as the soldier capturer, Mr. Irvin Peñani. Let's give him a round of applause. According to your categories of alumni. So, all right, there you go.
You are supposed to be here.
We've got it. That's it. Tebo, you sit on this one.
The man himself.
Yeah.
The
It's the
man
most,
himself, eh?
it's the most artistic.
You can see.
All right.
I was disappointed.
Am I hearing voices? I know I'm old, but
can
am I hearing voices?
It's our mics, they are on already.
All right, whoever is speaking and is not supposed to be on stage, please use sign language. All right, let me sit here and get this conversation going. We don't have a lot of time, so let me start with Ernest. Ernest, you and I campaigned here in 1989 for the second term. And you now decided that your experience is worth capturing in a book. Are there moments that you wish you had captured in the book that you didn't?
Yes.
Share them.
The presence of troops on this campus was not a moment without dramas. One of the most outstanding of dramas. Should I come there, Vic?
No.
Yeah.
No, I was just switching it off because it's...
One of the most outstanding of dramas was when we were on stage. You were on stage as well with Abid Lavana. And as I was presiding over a mass meeting, I saw a boat from up there in the ceiling. Actually, Maguira, is Maguira here?
Yeah.
Maguira came to me to say, President, there are soldiers up there. Let us deal with them. But remember, even though this was a 1,000 capacity hall, there will be 3,000 of us here. Now, had we decided to acknowledge that there were soldiers on campus, you can imagine the stampede that would have happened. So it was moments full of dramas. But another moment, Vic, was when we came here and had a lecture from Professor Mpatlele.
Oh, no.
Mpatlele, down 2nd Avenue. And troops came here with guns as he was giving a lecture. And after the lecture, some students approached some of the troops and they said to them, what brought you there? And, you know, to our surprise and to our chagrin, one soldier said, you know what, I really enjoyed the lecture from Professor Mpatlele. Wow. That was very interesting. But Vic, I know you want to ask me the next question. May I say this?
Please.
Otherwise, I won't have an opportunity.
This is your show, man. You can cry if you want to.
This is to the Vice Chancellor of the university. Thank you so much for having welcomed us here. But I just want to say this to you. You are the most powerful Vice Chancellor in the country. And I'm saying this with a measure of authority. You have got so much power, so much authority. If you decide you want to call the president to come here in his capacity as an alumni, he will come here. If you decide the Minister of Housing should be here, she will come here. If you decide the chair of the Portfolio Committee on Transport, a very powerful sector, by the way, he will come running. If you decide the chair of the DBSA, with so much resources for infrastructure, they will come. I was saying earlier on that one day, when you decide you would like to open a school of aviation in this country, all it will take you is a phone call. You have got the chair of AXA here. You have got the former chair of the Civil Aviation Authority. You have got a former CEO. And when I talk aviation to our students, I'm not talking that kind of aviation that Limpopo is well known for, not the aviation at night. I'm talking about control of airports, regulating aeroplanes. That's how powerful you are. And I just want to thank you so much for that. And to the students, I want to say this. No member of the SRC, no SRC president left this university and became a commoner. They become premiers, they become director generals, they become very powerful people in society. That is the power of the University of Limpopo. It's no ordinary university. Thank you.
But now thank you very much for that credit. VC, you don't need a reprise. Now you decide to write a book in a country that's not particularly known for reading or writing books. That was a bold step. What fears did you have to overcome to do that?
Well, maybe I should start off by indicating what really moved me to write the book, and then I talk about the fears. The first reason is the rich history that this university has, and I think speaker after speaker has explained that. The second one is the peculiarity of this university among the community of universities nationally and globally. One peculiarity about this university, Victor, it's how it has defined and esteemed alumni. You know, there's a debate on who an alumni is. Is an alumni someone who graduated? Is an alumni someone who was fired? With this university, the most outstanding alumni, the people who really love this university, are people who never graduated here. Yep. The president of this country never got a degree here. I can go on and on and on. But because they left their blood on the tarmac, their relationship with the university is emotional. So the university has really redefined what an alumni is. The second reason why is this the third? Reason why I wrote the book, and this will be shared by my colleagues from the 1980s. I wrote it for healing. You know, when you have gone through the kind of pain that we have gone through, some of them here, and I see them here, spent years in prison. Some spent years in prison. When they came back, left with only half a course, the university would say, you're not allowed to be here. They had to start from scratch. Some were shot, some were depressed, some eventually died. So it's for healing as well. I wrote that as a way to heal. My biggest fear as I wrote that book was how accurate could I be? Because we did not have records. We never kept minutes. We didn't even have pictures. We made sure that there were no traces, so there were no records.
I used to keep minutes until Lawrence wanted.
Oh yes, oh yes.
And then I stopped. Yeah.
And just for the benefit of the students, Victor and I were once almost kidnapped by Sergeant Lawrence, who put a knife on his neck.
A gun.
Was it, I got a knife, you got a gun. And the sergeant said, you're going to sign this piece of paper and declare that you are a spy. And from now onwards, you cooperate with me. Otherwise, I'll take this piece of paper and give it to the terrorists in exile. His mistake was that he got both of us to sign. If it was Victor who signed, we would have believed he's a spy.
Yeah.
God knows what will have happened to him.
Yeah. We should have taken the money, though. Okay, Evan. You did not think about 3,000 people when you heard of soldiers being in places where they shouldn't have been. Please set the record straight about this capturing of an SADF soldier on campus and what in God's name you were trying to do with that poor guy.
Okay, thank you. On a lighter note, by the way, when we are here, we used to start by saying, we, the students of the University of the North, note with utmost disgust, displeasure, contempt,
And dismay.
and abhorrence. And he will write that big English. Okay, thank you. Let me give the context. I'll start from the end, then tell you how. We have the soldiers camping at the university. We first thought it was going to be 2 months. It is now 1989. At that time, the young lions in the country are leading a defiance campaign. We first remember the reason the soldiers came is because the students at the time declared Turfloop a liberated zone. Then we were punished. So in 1989, when it was time for the defiance campaign on the 1st of August, 1989, we started to go back to declare ourselves liberated. But we were frustrated that we could not do it like anyone else. The soldiers were here. We did the most radical things because our colleagues were still in jail. So in order to push, and because we had pushed a lot of diplomacy and we were failing, it was now 3.5 years of soldiers being on campus. And we knew that we wanted to get them out. You'll see in the movie that Ivan was the commander of Spear. And it finally comes out now who Spear was. Nobody knew who Spear was. And Ivan in the movie says to Ernest, Ernest, you shall be president. Ernest says, why? He says, no, so that Spear is in the SRC. Now we get frustrated. Spear says, but all of these things that we're doing are not materializing. Many are materializing, but this main thing is not happening. We blow our cover in 1989 at the height of the defiance campaign and say, we shall face the soldiers head on. On our way with myself and about Jerome, we were called the White Lab Coats Brigade because we will disguise going to churches and so on. We find this soldier and we say, we are going to kidnap this soldier so that we'll teach the soldiers a lesson. The other guys don't believe it. So I was chairperson of the Central Cultural Committee. I had the keys to the strong room. I decided to the guys that if we can capture one soldier, put him in the strong room, we will teach the soldiers a lesson. And we were now, remember, we never took this to the caucus of Spear. And because I was the commander, I said, I'm going to do this. I got 1 or 2 guys, we moved this guy, we put him there. Unfortunately for us, and fortunately for him, Ernest comes. So we always used to play good cop, bad cop. I was the bad cop who was locking this guy. A strong room is a 4x4 meter room. We wanted to lock him for a day and send the message to the soldiers that unless you are prepared to leave campus, we're not releasing this one. Of course, because of the height of the defiance campaign, we did not care what was going to happen at the time. Ernest releases the guy, but they went back. But also then down the line, it gave us morale to realize that we could do it. We then, as you'll see in the movie, I get sent with Didi Mamanya to go to the camp. Very scared, but go to the army barracks and say, we want our campus back. Please leave our campus. Who's the commander here? And it is not because of myself, my brevity, but because it was orders that came that these guys must leave now in August because it was our time. And that was the moment. And I can realize, Vice Chancellor, that our students cannot imagine that. We are 19-year-old, you are fighting with 40-year-olds, and you are going to, guys with guns who've got nothing. You only have got a notebook, and we did that. And lastly, Victor, I think that era says to us, talks about leadership, overt and covert leadership. You were in the SRC, you were the overt leadership. You were frustrated, you were the SRC secretary. You did not know who Spear was. Yet Spear was your president, but the commander was myself. And it is because of how it worked. You only discovered years later who Spear was, that Spear was living with you, but you never did that. And our strict instructions was that you as the Spear unit, you shall never get arrested. Oh, Comrade Nick had already left the country. This man here called Rich, nobody thought that Rich was our super commander, and he was staying that side at the Platelands. And this man must be credited for many things that he had done. So it was because of the things that we did. It's not personal glory, but because we're frustrated that our comrades were in jail and in prison, and we wanted them back. And only few of us could do the things that we did. It's not personal glory.
Excellent. We are going to have Rich on the panel next, so we will get him to talk about this chain of command that made some of us operatives on the surface like, I don't know, they were the puppet masters. we were the puppets. We were good performers. Teboho,
Yes, sir.
I'll come to you, but I want to talk to Chris next to you. Chris, as an academic, as an artist, as a creator, when you listen to stories of this nature, not from a distance, but having been here already for how many years now as a lecturer?
11.
11 years. What does that tell you about the scale of the story that is Turfloop? And what do you think can be done to expedite the capturing of this glorious history?
Thank you. My opinion, and it's practical, I've experienced this for 11 years. Before that, I've experienced this for close to 30 years. The University of Limpopo, especially the cohorts of the students who come here, are, forgive me, species in a laboratory of creativity. People who have from backgrounds that didn't have opportunity to give them allowance to be creative, to be agencies of their own creativity. So when this University of Limpopo, the Performing Arts Center, gives them an opportunity, it throws them out to say that you can lead the world. Before leading the world, you can heal the world. And so we have people in 2 or 3 weeks at the university. And 6 months after then, they appear at Grahamstown with 2 plays. And over the years, we have seen them reproduce plays. And some of them would gladly say, can you introduce us to Joburg? I would say, no. Here is incubation for you. They will come from Joburg and scout for you. Uteboho, why are you here? Here is an incubator where you can become whatever you want to become. And one of the malleable points that we have in them is because they haven't experienced anything. So they are ready for direction. They are ready for mentoring. So when we have stories like studying under the barrel of gun, come here and see us work on them. It gives these rural students opportunities to say, I have a place on the world platform. I have a place to share stages, to share the stage, the set with Utebo and all of these icons of our creativity and film in the industry, in the country, and on the continent. Now, one of the things that you will not take from our students is the opportunity to see themselves way beyond their limitations. And so when we have stories like this, stories like the Parcel of Death, stories like Ghost Twerkers, we present the art, the performing art, as the mirror, not only the mirror, the witness, not only the witness, the conscience of the society. Everyone came here today, haven't consulted mirrors, right? You wouldn't go out without seeing mirrors. At bathrooms, at hotels, lobbies, at airports, mirrors are there. That's what arts are. That's what drama is. That's what theater art is. That's what film is, to be the mirror of the society. You can't argue with what you see in the mirror. If you are ugly in the mirror, you look for ways to shaping yourself up. If you're undressed, if you're not well in the mirror helps you to present yourself the way you ought to be. Some ladies here have mirrors in their purses. That's what creativity is. That's what drama is. That's what theater is. So sometimes we see a play like The Ghost Workers. You will be conflicted and probably ashamed of what goes on in our society. And perhaps whether you are part of it or not, when you see the Prince of Sovenga, you will see the strength of the African society before colonization. You will see the strength of the women. You will see how strong individuals are. You will see Ubuntu in our play in the Prince of Sovenga. And the Ghost Workers brought out something very special. And our province, the Department of Education, Department of Sport, Arts and Culture, the Commission for Gender Equality, took the play out on a tour. And you could see people weeping and crying. We were at Leboakomo. Leboakomo, over 600 students, high school students, sat down in the auditorium. Our students hit the stage. Towards the middle of the play, we saw clusters of people weeping and crying. What happened? They saw in the play a mirror which depicts their lives, their existence, their past, their presence, and then the possibility of a great future. That's what theater does. And our students become physicians, if you allow me, physicians of the mind, physicians of the body, physicians of psychology. They become psychologists. Our students do not go for therapy. Even if they have had issues before, by the time we begin to perform together, we play together, we act together, we become family, you see them getting help by themselves through the play. One of our students in Ghost Worker said, she acted so well. She acted the part of someone that was raped. And after I said, hey, well, now you acted so nicely. She said, I wasn't acting. I was reliving the life. I was being raped since the age of 9 till I was 18. But on the stage, I discovered that I'm over it. And she became a healer herself.
Right.
Now, this will surprise you. An academic came to watch the premiere of the play. After the play, I was seeing her off. She said, Chris, that was very disturbing. And I said, well, the play just exposes the things that are kept under the carpet. And then she said, oh, I get it now.
Right.
I think this has helped me for what I struggled with for 35 years.
All right.
You can come and see our play. You will be helped in your struggles. And in your past, you'll be healed too.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Chris. I'm just chasing time. But you hear him, right? He becomes the art. You understand? That's what artists are. They are the most truthful people you can come across. They don't have double, as he says, one of his students said, I wasn't acting. If you are not representing yourself, you're representing somebody with whom you empathize. May I ask the students of Dr. Chris Akinola who are in the room to stand up, please? Come on now.
Make una stand up.
What kind of actors are ashamed? Yeah, come on. There you go. There you go. And this is only a fraction, and some of them were in the movie. So were you all in the movie? All who were in the movie who are not Dr. Chris Akinola's students? Because there were people who are not performing arts students. Everybody who appeared in the movie standing under the barrel of a gun, please stand up.
So they accepted. Wow, I yet to honor you. Wow.
There you go.
Oh,
No testimonial required
yeah.
about what you're doing. Before you graduated, you were seen by the world at a Stekineko theater, featuring in a movie. What can your certificate do for you that cannot be obtained from that kind of testimony? Thank you very much, Chris. Tebo. Yes, sir. You are the crazy one around here. Because you came here and told me things that were tall tales, including how you were going to make a movie in 3 months, and premiere it on the 12th of June. And I said, you are out of your mind. You and Cornet Mamabulo. But here we are, man. Please exhale, look back, and tell us what this means, that you said the craziest thing and went out on a craziest of missions, and here we are with a screen behind us to see the products. Come on, let it out. Level with me.
Wow, yeah. Abela, thank I'm so special. Um,
Okay,
so,
we're gonna need help. Tebogo, maybe use this just briefly, please, because we don't have time. I don't wanna be waiting for sound to be fixed.
yeah, sure.
Okay, kill his waste mic. He's
One,
his
two.
countryman, so he can use that.
All right. I wanted to first say thank you to the Vice Chancellor, to Bra Victor, Bra Ernest, and I think when the young people stood up, I started crying. It was one hell of an undertaking, and I want to thank everyone. There's a young man there. I think he studies law. He plays a priest in the movie, and to the gogos that did catering for us too. So thank you. It was a great honor for me watching this movie back to try and capture such rich history in 97 minutes. When you say Mr. Rich, you mean Mr. Rich Moloko?
Yes.
I wanted to.
Yeah.
So he's in the movie. So many elements about this institution, from all the way back when Biko starts SASO in 69 to Tiro's story, all the way till the occupation in June 12, 1986. We tried to put so many characters in it, and I'm so honored that a lot of them are here today. It's an adaptation from the book, so there are certain characterizations that we took dramatic effect. There are certain characters that we combine into one, you know. So the twins, Boso and Tibo, we turn them into one character, and so you'll see yourself in different moments. And I want to say thank you. I appreciate you. I love.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. I apologize because we really don't have much time. So I saved the best for last, because one thing about the struggle against apartheid, Minister Smelan, is that women are almost recorded as an appendage or as some accessory in the story. You were here during that time. Please share with us what you see as the role of women and what contribution this institution might have made to someone like yourself to travel the path to where you are today.
No, thank you very much. Let me inform you that I'm here at the insistence of my president. Surroundings, including her uncle and family who were here at the university, and 3 months down the line, she died. And the glory that the team led into Soweto in 1986 in Turfloop to go and bury her is testament to what the struggle and the role that Turfloop played, particularly women. So as you pass Josephine Mushobane houses there, you must know that she walked and she died here. Her remains may not be here. She might have died in Leratong Hospital, but when the soldiers brought her back on campus, she could barely even recognize her surroundings. Now, there were women who really brutally were part of the system. Were part of the brutal system. Unfortunately, many has passed. I think of Bongi Mabunda. I think of Joyce Muloe. I think of Sesonti. I think of Judge President Shilam Pahlele, she's still around. Advocate Lindy Nkosi, Benny Manching, Mnama, Tracy Malaji. So those were 4 bears who gave us. My history is very odd in the generation of women that came after the victory that were led by Josephine and others. I'm the first of the two that won the elections when SASCO lost the election for the first time on this campus.
Oh,
We were only two, and the task we had was then to bring back the glory, because they will always say, but we leave this thing to you, and you just lose it. What happened that students don't believe in you? And I was the chair of the constitutional desk. Those who know, you take the constitutional desk at the periphery. So I was the chairperson of the constitution. I was never a president. I was never anything. But I changed the constitution and the rest is history. Of course, I changed the SSC constitution and we triumphant. I think we do believe that women who are sitting here today, we need to write our own history.
Yep.
We need to tell our own story. And not that our story is divorced from the main story. Our story is part of the real and the core existence of the struggle that has been waged by women. I just saw a documentary of Winnie Madikizela Mandela, and I feel it needs to be redone, Debza, for her glory. So I think that's what we need to start before we could even get into where we are. And side by side with colleagues who were with, we then worked to make sure that we retain the glory of women, and there were many who came after us. And I would like to appreciate Comrade Ernest that you took the bold step to put it right to where you guys ended. You are now giving us a baton that we need to continue and tell the story, which I still view as fundamental politically in the history of the University of the North and subsequently the University of Limpopo, right up to who it is producing today. And they equally are not in the periphery. The provincial secretary of the Youth League in this province, Shugu, comes from here. And many other who graduated and made sure that they laid the foundation. Let me conclude by thanking Upapa on behalf of Mama, who says Joyce Mashamba. In the midst of the women who guided us as women, young, navigating the space, were two Joyces, Joyce Mashamba and Joyce Mabudafas, permanent forever on campus. And they will extend their homes to us. I think Bra George knows for a very long time she never owned a house. His house, rather, will come in, called by Sis Joyce, sometimes hungry, no money for food and everything. And they will feed us. He says, I must pay back. I'll try, Papa.
yeah.
I will pay back. And that laid the foundation. Sis Joyce was the chair of the bursary aid scheme. I'm a beneficiary of that scheme. The late Bongi Mabunda, Sis Joyce, Tracy, Maggie Mabusa, because they had to identify, besides nurturing us politically, they will also have to make sure that we finish what we came here for. And Doc, VC, thank you very much for not telling them that I didn't attend classes. I was your classmate, though. Thank you very much, Vic.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I really apologize. Let's give a round of applause to Ernest Khosa, President, Minister Simelani, Ivan Penyani, Tebogo Malupi, the producer, and last but not least, the one and only Dr. Chris Akinola. Thank you very much. Let's get the next panel, please.
Thank you.
Dr. Dolly Tabane. Oh yeah, we are going to ask the VC. Oh no, it's fine.
Okay.
VC, please ascend. Ernest would like
Anyway,
to
we'll
hand a token of appreciation
congratulate.
as well. It's a book, it's a copy of the book that he's presenting to the university. Let's have Advocate Rich Muluko, Dr. Dolly Davani, Mr. Anderson Mapira, and Joe Okosi. Just giving you the.
In
Yeah.
the interest
Please,
of
let's do that.
time,
We need to start the movie at 5. I don't want to be that guy who stops the movie.
in the interest of
No,
time,
this way, please.
I'm going to hand this book
Take
to,
only these
to,
seats,
to
I'll
the
sit
VC,
here, yeah.
but with just some short comments. In his speech, the VC, the very first line, he spoke about philosophy. We've got 4 problems in this country. The first problem is the problem of philosophy. You cannot wage a struggle without a clear philosophical base. Others will call it an ideological base, others will call it a value base. There was some war, I don't know if it's still continuing in some part of the world. There's a country with so much weapons. There's another country with a set of values and some philosophy. You can decide which of the 2 countries are going to win that war at the end of the day. The second problem that we have in this country is our legal philosophy, which is linked to philosophy. You have had so many people saying the Constitution is written in stone, it cannot be changed. I would like you to know that in an academic environment, there's nothing that cannot be debated. Please continue debating that Constitution. It's based on some philosophy as well. The third problem that we have is the question of the narrative. And I want to take this opportunity to thank Tebuho for being a great, great revolutionary. Movies, the role of the media are going to be key in determining our narrative. And of course, economic freedom is going to be a very important aspect of where we're going as a country. And the student leadership has got a very important role to play. This here is a book from one of your own.
Yep.
I hope there'll be many more.
Thank you very much, Comrade Ernest. Thank you, VC. Let's have the panel members, please. We literally have 20 minutes before showtime. I'm not starting this movie late. How did I lose panel members?
It's been a long time.
Okay.
Mamela, where are you? We're missing you.
All right. Managing the clock, if you have the news bulletin at 5, is not an easy task. So it already tells you, Mr. President or Deputy President, how short your remarks are going to be. I am having with me on stage here the president of the 1984-85 SRC, and I have my treasurer in the 1988-89 SRC. He was also the faculty rep of the Faculty of Theology. And we have Dr. Dolly Dlavane, who knows A.B. Dlavane. A.B. Dlavane was the deputy president of Ernest Khosa. And may his soul rest in peace. We buried him last September. And I'm just going to ask Tabelo, Dlavani, Tabelo, please stand up. That is Abe's son. Anybody who knew Abe can see a little bit of Abe in him, only taller. So Abe was tall as he was, but now Tabelo is taller. And then, but Dr. Dolly Dlavani is the senior lecturer at the University of, and Northwest University. And last but not least is Rich Mulugo. Rich, I'm gonna start with you just briefly, because you have listened how emotive everything can get here and how deep the stories go from Professor Shai when he said, here is a platform for the story of this university to be told, to be curated correctly. Share with us your appreciation of how deep and how far we can go based on your experience, and what do you think it will take for us to fast track that curation of the story of this institution? I don't think you're audible. All right, maybe use that mic, because it might take a long time. No, use the mic, this one. Use the podium. I know you didn't address meetings a lot, but that's the problem with underground people. They launch others. They're like movie directors, I mean producers rather.
How do I discard this now?
Pardon?
How do I discard it?
No, you don't have to do anything.
Oh.
Yeah, you'll just use that one, the podium mic, yeah. They'll just switch it off.
No, thanks, Vic. Thanks very much. And I think it's a great honor for some of us to be here. If you recall, this whole traumatizes me, because my problems actually started here. I was part of the 86 class. When the state of emergency was declared, I survived. And then we came back, and I think it's the Register Malachi who called us here, addressed us, and then he left the podium. So there was a bit of chaos and commotion. Yeah, and one comrade just caused all the problems, Pani Silliman. He actually, called me to come up front here. And I mean, all along I was underground. Now here we are, I had to come in front, address students, and lo and behold, as we went to the administration to give a report, we meet Hervier, Van Dijk, and Lawrence, the youngster.
Oh no, I remember that meeting. So
yeah.
Banis Levano donated you to the police, unwittingly.
Unwittingly. Well, yeah, I mean, that's where the problem started, because, I mean, they had our pictures and everything, but they couldn't match any, the individuals and the pictures. So that gathering kind of took the masks and Hervier started saying, oh, now we have our guys.
What I want the young ones to understand is how you had an SRC, it got arrested. We come back to campus, you are like the second layer, and coming into this hall to address us, because I was in the room. That was the first time I started taking Bani seriously.
Yeah.
Because I thought he was just a guy who loved to tell jokes, make noise, but then I say, why is he chairing the meeting in the absence of the SRC? At that time, I didn't know you. I say, well, and who is he? Please explain to us the relationship between the underground structures and the mass mobilization, because we need to understand just how things were being run in the 80s.
Yeah, I mean, recall when we arrived here, 82, 83, we didn't have the SRC. I mean, SRC was kind of dominated by either non-political aligned people or I mean, Fatudi, the president, judge president in the province now. I guess he was more aligned to Azapwe at that time, yeah. So when we came with the Jomo Khosis and the Banis, I mean, I came here already as a member of COSAS.
I mean, yeah, it's a long story how I joined Khosa's because of my Christian background. I, born and bred in Soweto. I was part of a Christian organization called Teen Outreach, which Ketlam Tim was the president, so it was also full of Azapo people. But I was actually recruited through arts, and thanks the producers and the artists here. In 1979, it was the centenary of Isandwan. So we were put together as part of the Teen Outreach too with the Mzwake, probably most people know Mzwake Mbuli. So we were put together to perform at the launch of Khosas in Velgespreid, the victory of Sandwan. So that's how I got recruited. So the time I got on campus, I was already part of the movement. Got here, got the bunnies, I was part of the Azaso, and there was quite solid structure which had quite extensive political education into it. So the time call it decapitation, when the enemy decapitated our leadership. I mean, there were layers and layers and layers.
Yeah.
Some of us, it's quite interesting how Pejane talked about spear, because during our time, spear was really, really underground. But I mean, you had a lot of kind of structures. I mean,
Well, we have professors here. Please tell us what spear was and how it got the name spear in the first place.
I'll give you an anecdote of spear. 1986 actually became, can I say, the pinnacle, and I think spear reached a disaster. and I was trying to tell you the story. What happened? I can't recall the days properly, but that's the day when B Block went and Janssen's office went. Interestingly,
when you say B Block went, you mean B Block was burned to the ground?
It was burned to the ground, yeah.
Carry on.
So interestingly, it was that evening, I was working from Zana with the late, his soul rest in peace, Dan Mofokeng. And then we went to our rooms and slept. In the morning, B Block is gone, Jansen's office is gone. But now we recall with that. We saw Spencer Malungete. We saw, a couple of comrades. We kind of met somewhere in the student center, early hours of it. So now the issue is, I mean, who did what? The unfortunate part of it is that I think the organization took a position which really became disastrous, because when we got to prison, there were like big fights. Mike Wayani, his soul rest in peace, decided to call a caucus, Azaso caucus, and started disciplining people. So
in prison?
Yeah. No, here. I think either it was on the 10th or 11th of June.
Right.
That caucus, which was a very unfortunate caucus, because it kind of revealed some of the networks. I mean, part of the spear was actually literally disciplined in that caucus. And unfortunately, the system got to know, different networks, and a lot of the spear guys were arrested, and we had like big fights in prison now to say, I mean, why did you do that? So it's just an anecdote of what spear is and what spear represented.
Yeah. What I want to bring to the fore is, you were from Soweto, but you came here not by chance. You were deployed here.
Well, that's that's an overstatement. I innocently came here. My father told me when I left that please don't join politics. You
Right.
know? So I think his soul rest in peace. I mean, if he can hear that I was deployed, he can,
Yeah.
So no, I mean, I was already part of the student movement at that time. As I say, I mean, I accidentally got into the caucus, into the Khosas launched in 1979 through
Right.
Isandlwane. And so I was already part of the, I mean, if Isandlwane became quite a very powerful kind of platform. We actually taught at the time, I was still high school. We went even to PE, that's where we met a lot of comrades. Remember that time, the progressive movement was very nascent at that time. So the networks, I mean, cultural activities were quite powerful in that sense, that it created kind of a lot of networks for us. And so the time I came here, yes, I was part of the kind of underground structures in that sense, you know.
Okay, thank you very much, Comrade Rich. I'm learning certain things about you even now, 40 years later, which is scary. Anderson, no, Joe Mkhosi. On the night of the 11th, just before the state of emergency was declared, and the soldiers came onto campus, you were in a meeting around midnight. What meeting was that, and what came of it?
Yeah, like the other speakers before me pay tribute to the leadership of the university. I'd like to do the same and just cut it short to say protocol observed.
Yeah.
Like Victor is saying, I think on the 12th of June, 1986, as the SRC leadership, we were having a meeting with the leadership of the university, where the late Mr. Malachi was present, and Lintate Mushobani. So by then, the students were on strike. There were no classes, so there were negotiations in terms of our demands and what the university wanted. And the meeting started, I think, around 10 in the morning, and it dragged until around 4 in the afternoon, because it was to and fro. We didn't want to give in as such to what the university wanted. And I remember Mr. Malachi then called me aside. Then I also took one of the deputy president to be with me as we speak to Mr. Malachi by then. Then he said, there's something of importance and very urgent that he wants to tell us. He said, what is it? Because we've been having this meeting and you guys don't want to budge. Then he said, it's unfortunate, I think the police and the soldiers are on the way. So the important thing, you know that you are the ones who are wanted. If you stay here longer, continue with this meeting. You are all going to be arrested and we are going to be blamed, meaning Mr. Malachi himself and Mr. Mushoban. Then we said, hey, this is a serious situation. Okay, give us a minute. Let's go back to the comrades, the SRC, so that we can talk about this matter and have a way forward. Then we went back to the meeting and we spoke to the leadership there, and they said there's nothing that we can do because if these guys find us here, they're going to arrest all of us, and it's not going to be a good situation because indeed they were going to blame Malachi and Mushobani himself as the ones who have sold us. And we said, okay, we are going to adjourn the meeting, and we then left. And yeah, we left. And remember, it was around 4. And within 20 minutes' time, the soldiers were actually deploying themselves around the campus. So many of us in the leadership did not have a chance to actually leave the campus. So we were trapped inside the campus as such. But we thank them that at least they alerted us, so we could then plan. And in that situation, you don't tell your fellow comrade where you're going. And the fellow comrade does not tell you where he or she is going. We then departed like that. And I remember I was staying at, I don't know if the hostel is changed now. It used to be called MP4. I'm not sure if it's still MP4. Eh?
MB.
MP4.
Oh, MP.
Yeah.
Well, there was a hostel called MP.
Yeah, MP4.
Was there? Yeah, there was.
Yeah.
Okay.
As you enter from the student center.
Evan changed the name.
Oh,
So he won't relate.
all right, all
He
right.
won't relate.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
And the beauty part is that those old platelands or so, they had a toilet where you could get in and go into the roof of the ceiling. And for almost 4 to 5 days, I had to hide in there. And the beauty part about being in the student leadership is that when we started as SRC as such, we actually mobilized the whole campus to be, we can call Azaso by then. I'm not sure now what it's called, but Azaso by then. I don't want to affect the fighters, you see, so I don't want to talk about
The
that.
fighters have the same history. So it's their history too.
Okay, the fighters need to understand this is history. The campus became Azaso campus, and whatever SRC said, they used to accept without question. Because what the pretty part is that there is what we used to call democratic centralism. The center used to hold. And we actually led from the front. And maybe to say this again, the beauty part is that the people who were leading the SRC were in course 3, some course 4, some doing honors. And that is why the students could listen to say that this, who are in the leadership, they are about to leave the campus to go, they can be any other thing after graduating. But here they are sacrificing their time for all of us. So that in a way won us a leverage so that the students can listen to us. And like I said, I stayed for some 4 days, maybe to say other students helped me to get out of the campus because I could not leave the campus. What they did is that they organized a van. And the police at the gate were speaking Tsonga and Venda. So what happened is that our comrades were speaking Tsonga and Venda. Then what this comrade did using this van, he went out first and greeted them and made it the point that they saw him and had some chat with him. He went out and came in. And then they fetched me and I laid back in the van. And I didn't know where we were going. And but I knew the campus. And as we were leaving the hostel, I knew that this is the first stop sign where we stopped. And then the second stop, we were at the gate. And I could hear them talking. Fortunately, as they had seen them earlier on, they could not open the back of the van where I was sleeping. And then we then went out. And after some time we had left the campus, they stopped. And so that we can wee-wee, because, yeah, you can understand that situation. And they took me to Nkuankua. I became part of the people who were coming to learn how to drive. So that, remember that the police had their own networks everywhere. So if you're not very careful, you could be arrested. So I became part and parcel of people who were coming for driver's license. And I think I stayed there again for almost 2 weeks. And then from there, they assisted me to use a train to go home.
Wow. You went east first to go south, southwest.
Yeah.
Anderson Mogwira, you were a theology student and you got mixed up with the terrorists. Please explain to us how theology found itself conflicted and forced to make tough choices. It was not just theology for the sake of the supernatural. It was contextual theology. It was liberation theology. Take us through exactly what it meant to be a theology student or a theologian. And while you are at it, just talk about the role of the church in the same breath, in the anti-apartheid struggle, please.
Yeah. The first thing that I should indicate, because we are in the context of studying under the barrel of the gun, and I was a student during that time. And I just want to say to all of us here, all protocol observed, because I've got seniors here. But there is something that I want you to follow. When I was in here, I was dragged into this exercise. Not forgetting that when Rich was released from prison, he came to stay in the room I was staying next door, and Barney. So they were barred from campus life. They were with us at the theological seminary. So these guys, Bubani and Rich, had an influence on us. Safe to say, whilst we were busy because of the situation, Rich started to bring these relations, inter-university relations, where leaders from the university will mix with leaders in VETS. And it was through him that we met Aaron, James, and the rest. Safe to say, I did not know that Ernest is black. But I saw that Ernest is black when we were in
Excuse me,
VETS.
you say you didn't know that?
That Ernest is black.
What do you mean? The most obvious
Yeah,
evidence?
You can see Shaggy is black, but Ernest is more black.
I get it now. Okay.
Yeah. Then we went there through the network created by Burich. And when we were there, Ernest was put with these other student organizations. We were sitting there in VETS. Then Ernest was sitting with these other ladies and the rest. And I could see. Then they were asking, because there was a problem between acknowledging who is Vincent and Ernest. Spoiler is Ernest, ne? Members. Ernest, his name is Spoiler. He's always spoiling everything. Now, when we're sitting there, they are mixing, they don't know who Ernest is and who Vincent is. Then I said, they said, who is Ernest? I said, the black one. Now, we come with this question of theology. And then Ernest is sitting there, we are served with a bit of drink there. Kanti Ernest is looking at me whether I'll take beer or what, because he wanted to check there. Theologically, very much aware that we are mixing with a lot of people, but we are here for a business. I want to cut that one short. And we came here after, trying to make sure that Turfloop becomes an area where, the forces are not, at work, they are removed. We came back here. One of the first things that we did was to try to attempt to make sure that we strategize on removing the forces. In the process, because advocacy was very much important, as we were trying to make sure that everybody must rally around us, we were forced to make sure that even workers at FedEx level understand our language. And it was immediately after we had blackjacks. And the workers here on campus did not want the blackjacks.
Campus security.
Campus security. And even us, we did not want that. But there was one old man who was working in FedEx, who had an old radio, Omega radio. That Omega radio, the way he was working on it, you could hear the communication between the forces on campus. So I related with these people, because then we were praying together. Then I related with them. Then I identified that these people are able to hear the communication between the forces and the rest. Mind you, at that time, Joe, you were having student cards. You had a police student card, army, who was reading the Bible. Then I asked him, we started talking about the Bible. Then I told him, look, guy, we are forced here to go to class. And when we are in class, when it is lunch, we are made to come back. What then do we do? Then he said, I'm not here for all those things that you are busy doing. I am here because there's conscription. I said, if you are not here for this business, can you bend the tent so that you can see? There was a tent when we were moving out, Rich. So the army was there. I requested him to bend the tent because he is faithful, he has got a Bible, he will not do anything. Always these guys were having the whole thing here. Now come the time when you came for a mass meeting here. I was sitting, be careful where you are sitting, you guys there. Because line number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, in the middle, there's seat number 5. That's where I was sitting. After talking to Ernest, telling him the army is in the ceiling. And then he said, no, we've got a lot of students here. If we start now making noise about the army, things are not going to work out. I was sitting there.
All right.
Then I believed that today there is something that we must do. Ernest says to me, sitting there,
You will not, hey, you will not do that. Not now, not on this topic, not on my watch.
okay, I understand the language.
You will not do it. I'm not saying it again. Behave, you are guest here.
Okay, the author of the book, Ernest, says to me there, the most angriest man in the meeting must go and resolve the problem. The soldier in the ceiling, when hearing that someone is coming, pushed the ceiling, and I was already in the ceiling myself to come down with the soldier.
Okay, we're out of time. I need to hear Dolly's version of this. Dolly, you were a photographer. You were a student photographer. You came from a business-oriented family, but you got mixed up with Avi Dlavane a while ago. Tell me about the story of women who just had to be part of something they were not intending to be part of in the end, especially because Avi got thrown out a window at one stage.
Thank you very much, Victor, and I stand on protocol, VC, and everybody else. Thank you for this opportunity. It's really indeed appreciated to be part of this commemoration and launching of the book. You know, in politics, if I have to be honest, when one partner is a politician, the other one is not. This other one who is not must be an instrument or equipment for support for the other one. You end up being a politician yourself. So I met this young, slim, tall, young boy here. I'm innocent from Free State, small dorpy in the Free State. And he loves me. I was beautiful. And I was not sure of him. But finally I said yes. And as time goes on, I realized, but this guy is most a politician. Soldiers in my room. How come now? Why do they want him in my room? Is this the kind of life that I'm going to live? And fast forward. They come to my room. They look for Abi Dlavane. I say, no, I don't know him. They show me my photo. I don't know where they got my photo. Is it not you on this photo? And I said, yes, it's me. Where did you pick it up? And they said, no, we're actually looking for you so that you show us where AB is. So when they were on the corridor at VK, when they came in, I was on second floor. I think they were now at first floor. Somebody called from the ground to say, Dolly, system. AB was in my room at the stage. And I said, you know what, go to a room next to my next room, meaning that it was the fourth room from my room. Go hide in there. I had already spoken with the lady. And they come to my room, they look for AB, and I said, so we were not very sure with this lady if they saw that AB was in her room. And I could see that this bold, huge, white man was confused. And I spoke Afrikaans with him because I knew Afrikaans because I was from the Free State.
Yeah.
And I asked, for this to jy eintlik? Ek wil jou help. And he said, I'm looking for AB. And I said, no, AB is not here. And then he said, or is he not in that room? So I said to this corridor mate of mine, if they come in your room, close the door. When they open, be naked. Abby must be in the drawer, in the wardrobe. And when you open the door naked, they will go back and they will never come back to your room. And I said to the guy, go in that room, 123. I was in 311, 312, 313, 314. Then he went there. When he opened, I don't know what happened. Whether my corridor mate was naked or not. Fast forward. And there was a state of emergency. AB was arrested. Ernest Khosa first. I heard from somebody at the gate that Ernest has just been picked up. When? Oh, okay. I wonder where's AB. I wonder where's Victor. May AB's soul rest in peace. I wonder where is Victor. And later I hear AB is arrested. Oh, and then nobody knew where Ernest was taken to. Nobody knew where AB was taken to. 2 days later, I was looking for Victor Khomoeswana. I wonder where is Victor. Maybe he may have gone home. And somebody said, no, I saw Victor in the morning at Tintis. Seemingly, Victor was looking for toothbrush and toothpaste, something like that. And later in the day, somebody tells me Victor has been picked up as well. It was just frustration. I must tell, one thing that I lived with was psychological torture, emotions, frustrations. I always swimmed inside, feelings that I could not explain myself, but I stood by AB's side all the time so that he could achieve what he wanted to achieve in academia. And maybe I should end there. I wanted to tell the story of the Mara because AB was located at Mara prison. Mara is next to Zimbabwe border. Dur at Musina. I went there, Victor, to Musina by lifts, but organized by the Council of Churches in Reverend Frank Chikane's office. From here, from Mankweng to there, I slept somewhere. I arrived there at the prison at Mara. They want to read a Bible for me. And I said, not this shit in front of me. You are not going to read a Bible to me. I had to use very strong words because I wanted to engage the enemy so that the enemy could understand that I am here standing before them, frustrated and looking for this man that is here. So when I was talking to this guy, when AB is out now, AB is telling me that, so they denied me to see him. I didn't see him. So when he's back, he tells me that when we were talking with this guy, he could see my back, he could hear my voice. And he wished that I turned a little so that he could see my face. And when he was about to see me, he would hit the window, And, from that experience, you can understand the frustrations that go with the fruits of fighting and being in the struggle as a student at the University of the North Turfloop. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, we are out of time, and I apologize, but my children, please don't do that. All right. Life is not just TikTok or Instagram. These are stories of real people. And unless you have a sense of what they're talking about, put some respect. If a woman had to ask another woman to be naked just to repel the terror of apartheid police, Today you can talk about GBV and know that the constitution of the country will protect you. Don't want to make a speech, we are done. We are going to move to the movie now. Mr. President, who's giving the vote of thanks? The Deputy President. Muhammad Reddy, Deputy President, and we are done. Thank you to the panel members, Rich Muluko, Joe Mukhosi, Anderson Magwira, and Dr. Dolly Dlamani. And then all the panel members, please come later after the Deputy President for your token of appreciation. Everybody who spoke, you line up on the stage. Mr. Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Program Director. All protocol observed. But I would like to also greet the Vice Chancellor, the most powerful Vice Chancellor in the country, and the SRC President of my lifetime, Command Comfort Leadership. The generation of 1986, the so-called young lions in the times of the state of emergency, had a generational mission that they will resist the oppression system of segregation and claim power to their hands. Now, the today generation faces the different struggle and a revolution. The crushing weight of economic exclusion, where university gates are locked, not by police dogs, but by huge academic fees and debts. We struggle with a curriculum that often feels disconnected from the agent crisis of unemployment, leaving us overqualified yet underprepared. The today generation calls for a free education, and not only free education, but free education and decolonized now. So we say this is our generational struggle, and young people must be focused to say, this is what we must fight for, and we wake up one day to render the state useless because they can't give us the free education we need. So with that, I will also thank Mr. Khosa to say, Turfloop is proud that you have recorded the history correctly. And then the Sovenga today is in jubilation as we see also young people here who sit amongst people here forming part of the cast. I mean, that's an opportunity that is worthwhile. Tomorrow they will show their children on the screen to say, look at Mama, look at Papa on the screen. That's a very proud moment. So for that we say thank you. So thank you.
All right, let us please have all the speakers here to get their tokens of appreciation. I'm sure those who are showing the movie will be getting ready now. And we will just, please let's get on the stage, all the speakers, to receive your tokens of appreciation. Professor Khutazo Shai, Mr. Donald Selamulela, Mr. David Makura. Yeah, no, we can just all stand there and then David Makura, Khutazo Shai, and Donald Selamulela is here. No, you're with me now. Thank you very much. Professor Shai, and then Mr. Selamulela. Okay, wait, we need a picture. Yeah, we need a picture here, please. Yes. We need. It's fine. He's not here. All right. Let's go. I didn't. Sorry, pardon my. Yes, we need one. Yeah, you are a minority. A tiny minority. Okay. All right. Hey, fellas, two more. Yeah, the black one takes the black one. And the artistic one takes the blue one. And the artist takes the blue one. Okay. The Magwira, the colorblind one takes the blue one also. You know the difference between black and black now? All right. Okay. Please, I think VC, we need you in the picture as well, please. These are records that should never be taken for granted. Yeah, next to Mr. Makura there. We need you. I'll flank. All right, the people who are playing the movie, I hope you are ready. And then I need information about everything else that needs to be announced, please. Morero, where are you? I need your directive. Okay, Mr. Deputy President. Or no, get the Deputy President, please. Sorry, David. Yeah, we didn't have the Deputy President there. All right, one more. Okay, face the camera, please. We left the Deputy President out of the picture. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Miro, come through. Morero. Are we ready with the movie now? You would know. All right. How do you come to a party you didn't organize and you start jumping around, rushing the program? Are they ready? You know what? The guy.
I used to dream about a place.
No, wait.
Far.
Wait, please. What we can do is, can people bring them in as the movie is running? Yeah. We have some popcorn for you. A movie is not a movie without popcorn. Unfortunately, because of time, we won't be able to get you to go out. We'll get some people to bring the popcorn to you. So let's make it as orderly as possible, please, so that there'll be people coming from the side. They'll start row by row. It could take a while, but I think you're here for the movie more than the popcorn. Enjoy the movie. It's everybody's story. It's my story. It's your story. Thank you very much. It's showtime.
I used to dream about a place far from the noise, far from fear, a place where your dreams were just the beginning. He said in the north, in the heart of Northern Province, there lived a different South Africa, a liberated zone, a beacon of hope, in a country under siege. I used to dream about a place far from the noise, far from fear, a place where your dreams were just the beginning. He said in the north, in the heart of Northern Province, there lived a different South Africa,